News. Thank you so much for choosing us. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. The top stories on our desk this evening. KK's family at loggerheads with government over barrier site. 2 poverty-stricken families receive help as they call for more from well wishers. Third Liberation Movement presidential candidate to make corruption a non-bailable offense post-August 12th pause. And in international news, no job policy may be illegal for U.S. employees. And in sports news, MWEPU joins ALBION. Join me shortly for the details.
Zambia has embarked on an economic journey for individual financial emancipation, empowering its citizens through land acquisition and developing the nation through agriculture. This time, Zambians are coming together, taking it upon themselves with the help of government to develop this great nation by taking individual responsibility and ownership of this great nation. The economic revolution has started. There are thousands of Zambians with a can-do mindset who are resolute, unstoppable, full of confidence and conviction that Zambia's set time of favor for development is now. Don't be left out. This could be the time you have been waiting for. Camnet Television, in conjunction with the United Agrivision Consultancy Limited, will be hosting a national conference on becoming a millionaire through agriculture. Date 1st October and 2nd October 2021. Charges 750 kwacha per person per day, that includes lunch. A limited number of participants through Zoom have also been reserved. You can also be part of the conference from the comfort of your home by registering online via Zoom, joining the people who were born for greatness. Charges for participation via Zoom are only 300 kwacha per person. Time 0730 hours to 17 hours. Registration and confirmation of attendance will take place on the 29th of September 2021. Time 14 hours to 17 hours. Venue the Healing Word Ministries International, the home of Camnet Television in Apex Hill, Kabulonga Road, Lusaka.
Once again, thank you so much for choosing us. The news in detail. With only 37 days remaining before Zambia heads to the polls, some citizens of Lusaka have called for peace ahead of the election. Speaking to Camnet TV in an interview, some people spoken to say the reports of violence received so far may lead to some voters staying away on voting day for fear of being victims of violence. They have called for concerted efforts from authorities and all participating political parties to ensure that political violence is put to an end before the poll date. Details in this report.
12th August 2021 is the poll date set for Zambia's general elections. Only 37 days remain before that day, and different political parties are making preparations for the same. However, continued reports of violence from political parties across the country have alarmed citizens. They have called for the situation to be normalized and violence to be stopped, saying reports of violence are demoralizing them as they fear for their safety.
Lete peace. Tufuna peace ife muziko latu muno ndiye tutamenti funa. Noti vopana payana ivisti vifuna. Bantu basira kufa manje bantu bamene vota ndiye bamene bapayana manje amaza kavota ndani funa bangenepo boma yanganepo.
Vota kafuta ze vota ze youth. I don't feel safe munga inkani about this HTK. Bantu bashitana bamenyana ngangafuna nkali free na site kodi party that there's no justice good. So kufunga she the government titandize no violence these elections itingaleshe mshemushe kunzi itsungese
ndamati kubempa kotabe tuna peace tabe mtendere kwenda vota tigwirizane chamba mo stifuna chongati kangala chongo zaka kangiro kwenda vota tizafa kumenyi wazofa chana so tuna tabe peace mtendere wati masuke to stende di vote kila muntu asaka mtu amena funa setuna nchito za mezi tiwo ndeka mtu tuna tisanga so stifuna chongo tiyo stifuna hapo tuna chamba mtendere za ziko yote nation.
Political violence has many far-reaching consequences as it destabilizes democracies, promotes voter apathy, and can even negatively affect the country's economy as businesses prefer investing in peaceful and stable countries. While various efforts have been made, it remains clear that efforts to end this vice need to be enhanced before its consequences are felt by the country. Zipporah Mushala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Forum for Democratic Process (FODEP) has expressed disappointment at the recent violence recorded in Mpika between the United Party for National Development and the Patriotic Front. Commenting on the matter, FODEP Executive Director George Chimembe says this should not be condoned and calls for stiffer punishment on the offenders. Mr. Chimembe has further called on the Electoral Commission of Zambia (ECZ) to go a step further and disqualify candidates from any party who will not comply with the Electoral Code. Details in this report.
As the race to the August 2021 polls draws closer, reports of alleged political violence have also increased. From candidates reported to be physically causing harm to each other to the destruction of campaign materials, reports have been rife. The latest occurrence is from Mpika district, where supporters from the United Party for National Development UPND and the Patriotic Front are said to have collided. These continued reports of violence have worried the Foundation for Democratic Process (FODEP). Organization Executive Director George Chimembe says the Electoral Commission of Zambia (ECZ) should go a step further in trying to stamp out political violence.
I think what is required now is for the ECZ to go a step further and, disqualify candidates from these two political parties in the areas where they are experiencing, violence. I think this is what can send a very strong message to these two political parties. The laws are very clear. The ECZ will be acting within its mandate to disqualify any candidate or political party from participating in any election if they abrogate or they continuously abrogate the provisions of the Electoral Code of Conduct. We saw that the ECZ suspended campaigns, in Lusaka and those other districts. But we also saw how the ECZ swung into action to suspend indefinitely a member of the PF who was peddling tribal sentiments. I think this is what stakeholders and the general public expect of the ECZ.
Mr. Chimembe further says the police should also act firmly and without partiality to ensure this vice is put to an end.
They should even go further to report these elements to law enforcement agencies like the Zambia Police. And we also extend this appeal to the Zambia Police, that they should be able to carry out their mandate firmly, but of course fairly, because at the end of the day, they are the ones that are supposed to deal with violence, because these are criminal activities, and so they move in within the context of their mandate to maintain law and order, and violence is something that disturbs peace, disturbs law and order, and so the police have a mandate.
Zambia will on 12th August 2021 hold its general elections. Zipporah Mushala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Says research findings have shown that Zambia's COVID-19 vaccination guidelines support the vaccination of pregnant and breastfeeding women, as well as the elderly, based on the great potential benefits. Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary Dr. Kennedy Malama says due diligence through the Zambia Immunization Technical Advisory Group found that the COVID-19 vaccine has no negative effects in pregnancy and breastfeeding mothers. Dr. Malama, however, says the ministry has continued to receive reports of the unauthorized use of ivermectin in COVID-19 treatment. Dr. Malama has since tasked the Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority, ZAMRA, to move in and bring all those involved in this illegal practice to book. Details in this report.
While various concerns have been raised concerning the administration of COVID-19 vaccines to pregnant women, breastfeeding mothers and the elderly, Ministry of Health says it has continued to observe severe disease and death as well as increased risk of miscarriages or having a preterm baby among unvaccinated pregnant women who test positive to COVID-19. Ministry Permanent Secretary for Technical Services Dr. Kennedy Malama has stated that the ministry has done due diligence to the Zambia Immunization Technical Advisory Group, which has found that the COVID-19 vaccines has no negative effect on pregnancy. Additionally, the COVID-19 vaccines being a non-live vaccine is safe for use in breastfeeding mothers.
To state that we've done the due diligence through our Zambia Immunization Technical Advisory Group, and we found that COVID-19 vaccine has no negative effects in pregnancy. Additionally, the COVID-19 vaccine being a non-live vaccine is safe to use in breastfeeding mothers. Whereas there is a lower age limit for the vaccines, for Zambia will say only those who are above 18 should get the vaccine for now. There is no upper limit. And therefore, as guided by the World Health Organization, the elderly in Zambia are considered a priority in the COVID-19 vaccination.
And Dr. Malama says the ministry has continued to receive reports of the unauthorized use of ivermectin in COVID-19 treatment, with some unscrupulous individuals now going as far as using the WHO logo to advance their illegal marketing appetite for this drug.
Let me also state that we've continued getting reports on the use of ivermectin. Now people have even gone to the extent of using the WHO logo as they are trying to sell ivermectin. As we've updated and guided the nation before, ivermectin is not part of our protocol in the treatment of COVID-19. We've since asked the Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority to move in and heighten surveillance so that we can protect the health and lives of Zambians.
And in the last 24 hours, the country has recorded 1,619 new confirmed COVID-19 cases and 69 COVID-19 related deaths. Eastern Province has continued to record a high number of COVID-19 cases and above the national average, which has worried the ministry. And African Union Center for Disease Control says the Zambian citizens have a responsibility and a role to play in addressing COVID-19.
I noticed that the number of cases are still really worrisome. The situation is worrisome, dire. We need to be very consistent. And this is a fight. This is an extraordinary event that needs extraordinary leadership, extraordinary commitment from all parts of the community.
Sadly, Zambia is one of the countries that till now is experiencing the third wave, as we have heard from PS brief. And again, I would like to also to assure you of the commitment of the African Union.
COVID-19 has continued to claim lives in Zambia, and stopping the rise in the death toll requires a concerted effort of all citizens by following the 5 golden rules. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The opposition Third Liberation Movement Party President Enoch Tonga has vowed to end corruption in Zambia should he be elected President of the Republic of Zambia in the August general elections. Speaking to Camnet TV in an exclusive interview, Mr. Tonga says he plans to introduce a non-bailable law for every government official who will be entangled into corruption activities. The opposition leader says fighting corruption is the only way the country will raise enough resources to tackle the current date situation in the country. And Mr. Tonga says he will scrap off presidential immunity, which he says will ensure that sitting presidents are answerable to the citizens. Details in this report.
With about 15 presidential candidates set to appear on the ballot paper on 12 August 2021, the Zambian citizens have a huge task to scrutinize every leader aspiring for the highest political office of the land, as this will determine how the next 5 years of this country will look like. And speaking to Camnet News in an interview, the Liberation Party President Enoch Tonga says he is the right presidential candidate to lead Zambia into its paradise. Mr. Tonga says once elected president, he will base its developmental agendas on 7 pillars, among them introducing a non-billable law that will ensure that any government official entangled in corruption faces the law, scrap off immunity accorded to a sitting president, send off foreigners to their original homeland, give back Palothe land to the rightful owners, promote agriculture, ensure that industries are run by the Zambians, among other things.
Going to make sure that we remove what we call immunity. When President Tonga becomes head of state today, he is under this cocoon called immunity, and he becomes untouchable. For us, we are removing this immunity so that Mr. Tonga remains bare, and anybody can take Mr. Tonga to court at will if I go wrong. The third golden pillar is ensuring that we establish what we call a non-billable law on corruption, which we are all aware of. The nation is aware that I pushed it myself to Parliament, which is now an adopted motion.
And when asked how Mr. Tonga will tackle the issue of corruption and high debt levels in the country, the Liberation President says fighting corruption will be done by introducing stiffer punishment for the lawbreakers, adding that when corruption is eradicated, the country will have enough resources to clear the debt.
So for us, the problem with the debt goes to the issue of corruption. So once we form or we enact the non-billable on corruption, we are pretty sure that we shall have enough resources to pay back the debt. Additionally, agriculture is the solution. You've seen this year, Zambia has scored bumper harvest, and regionally, you find that there's no food. Talk about it. Congo, Malawi, Zimbabwe, South Africa. So if Zambia was to double what we produce today, I mean this year, or make it 3 times, you are pretty sure that we are going to have resources to settle the issue of debts. And if anything, we're not supposed to be borrowing money. We are not supposed to be borrowing money from the outsiders. As a state, we are supposed to start giving out ourselves as the Republic of Zambia. So to handle your concern, debt can only be dealt with when we fight corruption using non-billable on corruption.
Mr. Tonga says he is a visionary leader who wants to deliver Zambia to the Zambian people by ensuring that all industries are run by the Zambian people.
The status quo that we are in as a Republic of Zambia, where now we are killing one another, maiming one another, has basically been created by ourselves as Christians. So we must begin to think differently. God is not short of people. And I'm here because he has given you a person that you're supposed to build and support. You end up building people that are worshiping the devil. So I want to emphasize, Zambia has been declared as a Christian nation, but we are not doing what is right. Somehow, God is not happy with us. So Christians, as major stakeholders in voting, we must not cast votes for leaders whose faith in God is questionable.
There can only be one president at a time. Therefore, Zambians have a huge task by ensuring that they scrutinize every leader aspiring for presidency, as the decision will indicate the direction that the country will be at in the next 5 years. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Now, son to the late Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, Kaweche Kaunda, has applied for leave to apply for the judicial review against a decision by the state to bury the remains of his father at the presidential burial site and later exhume and rebury at his farm next to his wife. Kaweche, who cited the secretary to the cabinet as respondent in the matter, is also seeking an order to Senatorial to remove into the High Court for the purpose of squashing the decision by the state and an order to mandamus and compel the respondent to release the remains of the deceased to the family in order to be buried according to his wishes. Kaweche has further requested a hearing of the application before a judge and a direction if leave is granted, and the grant of leave should operate as a stay of the decision in question. He further prays that if permission to apply for judicial review is granted, a direction that the hearing of the application for judicial review is expedited, an order for course, and that necessary and consequential direction be given according to the notice of application to apply for judicial review. Kaweche stated that his father, who was the first Republican president of Zambia and held office until 1991, lived at various places until 2004 when government built his retirement home on subdivision number 9 of subdivision A of farm number 28A, Lusaka, in Lusaka province of the Republic of Zambia, where he lived with his wife, Betty Kaunda. He stated that Dr. Kaunda outlived his life, who died September 18, 2012, and was buried on the said farm. He explained that before the death of the President Levi Mwanawasa, who died in office in 2008, government had not designed a burial place for persons that held the office of the president. You're still watching Camnet News. Just now we take a break. Still to come are more interesting stories. Stay with us.
To you, dear esteemed customers, as AMTEL, we're glad to bring something of excitement to you, and it's a promotion we've dubbed YATU, which simply means it's yours. And in this promotion, we're giving benefits that are tailored to you specifically as a customer, depending on the profile or the segment that you're sitting on as a customer. And in this promotion, we are saying you will get from as low as 13 NGW benefits amounting to over 500%, and it's all for you so that you get more benefits. So to know more about YATU, stay on.
YATU is a promotion that offers AMTEL customers amazing benefits that are made just for you. AMTEL customers will get amazing benefits of over 500% bonus back the value that they use when they subscribe to a YATU offer. YATU benefits will be usable for AMTEL to AMTEL calls, AMTEL to AMTEL SMSs, and browsing on pay-as-you-go defined rates. For you to access the amazing YATU offers, all you have to do is dial *335# and select option 1 to purchase the offer that best suits you. AMTEL customers will have the ability to actually purchase the YATU benefit more than once. So this means you can purchase the offer twice, you can purchase the offer 3 times, and the benefits will be accumulative at the end of the day. YATU benefits will be able to be redeemed if you subscribe to the same offer within a 5-day period. So if you have unused benefits from the previous day and the expiry date comes, you can still subscribe to the same offer within 5 days and your benefits will be able to accumulate. How amazing is that? For you to check your YATU benefit balance, all you have to do is dial *335# and select option 2 and you'll be able to see your current balance.
In this fast-paced era of industrial boom and population growth, there is need to invest in smart ways of managing electricity and water consumption and reducing utility billing costs associated with the postpaid billing system. At Savenda Electronics, we manufacture right here in Zambia different types of high-quality smart electricity and water meters to customer specifications. Savenda Electronics water and electricity meters help you monitor your usage and gives notifications such as low units, tampering, low battery, and many other features. These easy-to-use meters makes it easier to buy units even in these COVID times and top up just from the comfort of your space. Favorable contract terms are available to both electricity and water utilities. For more details, get in touch with us on the following numbers: 0956 580 349 or 0977 498 318. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
Lungu and the Patriotic Front have transformed the transportation sector by facilitating the construction of bus stations around the country. Vote for Edgar Chagwa Lungu and the PF that have brought you change.
Zambia has embarked on an economic journey for individual financial emancipation, empowering its citizens through land acquisition and developing the nation through agriculture. This time, Zambians are coming together, taking it upon themselves with the help of government to develop this great nation by taking individual responsibility and ownership of this great nation. The economic revolution has started. There are thousands of Zambians with a can-do mindset who are resolute, unstoppable, full of confidence and conviction that Zambia's set time of favor for development is now. Don't be left out. This could be the time you have been waiting for. Camnet Television, in conjunction with the United AgriVision Consultancy Limited, will be hosting a national conference on becoming a millionaire through agriculture. Date 1st October and 2nd October 2021. Charges 750 kwacha per person per day, that includes lunch. A limited number of participants through Zoom have also been reserved. You can also be part of the conference from the comfort of your home by registering online via Zoom, joining the people who were born for greatness. Charges for participation via Zoom are only 300 kwacha per person. Time 0730 hours to 17 hours. Registration and confirmation of attendance will take place on the 29th of September 2021. Time 14 hours to 17 hours. Venue the Healing Word Ministries International, the home of Camnet Television in Apex Hill, Kapalonga Road, Lusaka.
You're still watching Camnet News. Thank you so much for staying on. An athlete who took 568-kilometer marathon in honor of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda has been accorded a thunderous welcome upon arrival in Lusaka. Morgan Banda, who ran from Chipata, Eastern Province, to Lusaka to raise awareness on the need to promote peace and unity, which the country's founding fathers stood for, has since been assured of attending Dr. Kaunda's private funeral set to take place 7th July 2021. Zanis has more on this story.
Morgan Banda has become a famous athlete after covering a distance of 568 kilometers. Banda ran from Chipata to Lusaka in honor of Zambia's first Republican president, the late Kenneth Kaunda. The 10-day marathon themed Morning KK on the Run was undertaken following the death of the Pan-Africanist. It was intended to raise awareness on the need to uphold Dr. Kaunda's legacy of fostering peace and unity in the country.
All along from Sparta, I've been giving out these flyers that are indicated written in Bemba, Nyanja and English that are indicated ukuvutuka na kampeni no kusalo kwa mtende. So this is what I thought of doing. Anyway, the experience has been so fine. I have no problem at all in terms of legs. My legs are still strong. I've got no problem at all. God have moved me so strongly.
Lusaka Province Permanent Secretary Elias Kamanga and his Home Affairs counterpart Masie Banda were on hand to receive this athlete.
We are prayerful that many people along the way learned a message through your run. And I think it is important that probably since you have made this effort, I will make sure that we arrange for you to attend Dr. Kaunda's burial tomorrow. It is a private program, but you have made the effort to run all the way from Chipata.
Mr. Banda says the Ministry of Home Affairs has been monitoring the marathon.
Since we are in charge of internal security, we were monitoring this gentleman along the way from Chipata from the time we started on 26. We are going to give him accommodation. Ndeke Hotel has given him accommodation.
Shupekile Nkunika for Zanis in Lusaka.
Zambian women based in Germany have called on the Zambian people to embrace peace, love and unity as the country continues to celebrate the life of the late first Republican president, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. Rosalie Kawala, a Zambian based in Berlin City, says she will remember President Kaunda for being selfless, even at the time he lost his presidency to the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, MMD, in 1991. Ms. Kiwala says it is because of the free education she acquired during the Kaunda times that she is now in Berlin, and that KK fought and was able to forgo a lot for the love of the Zambian people. Another Zambian, Catherine Kuma, says Zambians should be reminded that Dr. Kaunda preached as it will build the nation even as the country continues to mourn.
Over 70 tribes together and said one Zambia, one nation. And for every Zambian, can we bide to this legacy that KK brought to our nation? Why don't we stay together? To all our leaders outside there, even as we are going to vote, May the peace and the unity that KK for be there on our heads, be there in our mind, that for Zambia we shall fight together and not to divide ourselves. No division, peace and love.
As we all pay tribute to our great leader, our first founding father, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, let us all be reminded of what he preached about. He preached about love and unity and Zambia as a one nation. May we continue under that, because it's the only thing that is going to build us and put us together as Zambians. It's by accepting one another, irregardless of where you come from and what name you carry and what tribe you carry. Let us be a one Zambia and a one nation.
Healing Word Ministries presiding pastor Moses Chiluba has encouraged Dr. Kenneth Kaunda's son to take up the leadership and unity mantle both at family and national level. Pastor Chiluba, who joined the nation in celebrating the life of Zambia's founding father, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, says KK has not been fully celebrated as he should. Pastor Chiluba was speaking when he visited Dr. Kaunda's house in Lusaka Thursday afternoon. In other news, 2 families of Lusaka's Chawama compound are living in abject poverty have received help from Chawama Community Initiative in form of foodstuffs. 81-year-old Frank Silwamba, living with his son, has lamented his life is slowly turning into a living hell. Meanwhile, 77-year-old Tiankeko Tembo, with a mentally challenged son who has serious burns, has called on well-wishers to help them at least have a meal and pay for medical expenses for her son. Details in this. Accommodation with at least affording 3 meals a day is a standard that people have said that everyone should live by. But this is not the case for 2 families of Lusaka's Chawama constituency in Lusaka. 81-year-old Frank Silwamba, terminally ill and can hardly talk, is calling for help to fund his treatment and at least afford a decent meal.
Kunitandisa. Munkanitandisa ntiyo mabuku ni muzapeza na sakila mabuku ya kodwala kwa vonse mzabwela ndiye lamene mzakanisa kodi tuzachita bwanji pali evi mwameni ngapempele kuli sinikana hospital, sinikana cha nikamwempempe kandiza kudimu.
Another family whose house is not different from the first family, if not worse, is equally in need of urgent help. Tiankeko Tembo, a mother with an ailing son who is mentally challenged and burned his legs, has been sleeping on a sack with no help rendered, both from the health centers and members of the public. According to her narration, her son got burnt about a month ago and was not attended to by the health facility, but sent back home with a long list prescription which she cannot afford.
Chipatala mnaenda? Ninaenda kuchipatala, kupeza kwa kuchipatala, kunienda kwa klinika kuti pano malo palibe. Papa libe malo ndaita budget wadi ya zura. So muyenda kuti mitete ni mbele naye. So pani mbele naye kusacho chita. Anoti tandizo kamna kuchipatala kulibe na niremera kuti mukazi kulile mweka mankwala. Kama kwa ya bula na chanya.
But on a positive note, Chawama Community Initiative Coordinator Ntazana Musukuma gathered some resources and donated a few items to the families.
Mai na bwera ine pano ni mwana wanu Ntazana Musukuma na kuleterani koni marasha, sugar, unga, cooking oil, kapena salad, then na kandarama, ka pocket money kuti muguleko tumunkoyo, then kapena munga guleko na twina to kudetermine anga funike kudya kwa patient watu. Pamene tikali kushinga kuti tandizo ikulu ibwere pamuzi tikali kwembekezerako na kuli bamene bantu ba mulungu amene mwapempa kuti batipaseko tandizo. This is exactly what I meant when I said that I will cooperate with Tasila Lungu to identify the challenges in the constituency and suggest possible solutions.
It is hoped that more well-wishers will come on board and help these two families. Sharon Kalimula, Camnet News, Lusaka. An unidentified man has allegedly committed suicide around Kamwala flyover bridge in Lusaka. The incident is allegedly said to have happened between 05 hours and 06 hours, in which a unknown male between 25 and 30 was found hanging on barricades of the bridge. Police spokesperson Esther Katongo confirmed this development to Camnet TV Tuesday afternoon. In other news, KRI Zambia Executive Director Frank Kayula has appealed to government to reduce prices of farming imports. In an interview with Camnet TV, Dr. Kayula says there is need for farming imports to reduce, as this will enhance agricultural diversification among the farmers and contribute positively to national development. Dr. Kayula notes that the agriculture sector can only thrive if people purchase fertilizer and other farming imports at affordable prices.
The productivity that is going down across the commodities in Zambia, and we are appealing actually to government to work on this. Number one, we need to have commodities that give more money to the farmers. Like garlic at the moment we are looking at like those that we are even using against COVID. But of utmost important is how we are going to handle the soils, which at KRI we are saying it's the way to go to improve productivity for the smallholder farmers. We need to start using organic fertilizers mixed with inorganic or chemical fertilizers. There must be a balance, 40 inorganic and 60 organic fertilizers. And at KRI what we have done is to support the smallholders as we support government to make them access the inputs that are very cheap for them, because at the moment with COVID they don't have sufficient funds. And so we have organized with an Indian company so that they bring into the country and sell to our farmers. A pocket of D is currently going at 590 kwacha, but a farmer is only paying 295 for this season, and the other 295 they will pay in the coming season. The whole idea is for the farmers to be able to access these inputs at low cost so that they increase on productivity. In future, we are thinking we will reduce on these chemical fertilizers and increase on the organic.
You're still watching Camnet News. We take another set of commercials. Still to come is international and sports news. Stay with us.
I was born in Mwengwa in a grass-thatched house. I went to school barefoot and then to secondary school. University came, all of these on government bursary, on the sponsorship of the people of Zambia. Many people ask me questions. Why have you continued to seek public office? You've been arrested 15 times. This fight is not about Hakainde. It's about 18 million Zambians who want a better life. I'm standing for the presidency of this country because I know and I believe that this country is so rich and yet its people live in poverty. I am standing for that child to have an opportunity to go to school the way I did myself. It's time for change. Zambians have suffered enough. I'm Hakainde Hichilema. I invite you to take my hand. Together, we will build a better life for every Zambian.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, downlights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbanda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Every day for me means hard work. Going to sell my goods at the local market. To get more customers, I have my secret. Oracle Pure Glycerin. It's soft, smooth, and keeps my skin perfect. And my customers know it. Thank you, Oracle, for my perfect skin.
At Master Signs, our services range from outdoor, indoor signage such as billboards, banners, 3D light boxes, pylons and neon signs. We are located at plot number 397A, Makeni Road, Lusaka, at Oryx Filling Station. For more details, call us on +260 967 100 090 or +260 966 999 981, or better still, email us at infomastersign@gmail.com. Master Sign, we will make it shine.
Zambia has embarked on an economic journey for individual financial emancipation, empowering its citizens through land acquisition and developing the nation through agriculture. This time, Zambians are coming together, taking it upon themselves with the help of government to develop this great nation by taking individual responsibility and ownership of this great nation. The economic revolution has started. There are thousands of Zambians with a can-do mindset who are resolute, unstoppable, full of confidence and conviction that Zambia's set time of favor for development is now. Don't be left out. This could be the time you have been waiting for. Camnet Television, in conjunction with the United Agrivision Consultancy Limited, will be hosting a national conference on becoming a millionaire through agriculture. Date 1st October and 2nd October 2021. Charges 750 kwacha per person per day, that includes lunch. A limited number of participants through Zoom have also been reserved. You can also be part of the conference from the comfort of your home by registering online via Zoom, joining the people who were born for greatness. Charges for participation via Zoom are only 300 kwacha per person. Time 0730 hours to 17 hours. Registration and confirmation of attendance will take place on the 29th of September 2021. Time 14 hours to 17 hours. Venue the Healing Word Ministries International, the home of Camnet Television in Apex Hill, Kabulonga Road, Lusaka.
Still watching Camnet News, thank you for staying on. In international news, an arrest warrant by Interpol was issued at the request of Malian authorities who have been investigating Karim Keita in a case concerning the disappearance of a journalist in 2016. Still in the news, beyond borders, more than a year and a half since the start of the pandemic, people who have been working remotely are gradually returning to their offices. But in the United States, some of those who refuse to get vaccinated risk losing their jobs. Here's a roundup of international stories.
In New York City, with COVID well under control and more than 50% of the population fully vaccinated, workers are slowly beginning to return to the office. But with studies showing as many as 25% of Americans saying they have no plans to get the jab, can employers demand it? The short answer is yes.
Employers have a lot of freedom. Employers in the U.S. can demand records of vaccination, proof of vaccination. They can, of course, ask employees if they've been vaccinated. Employers can even go one step further and require vaccination of their employees.
A hospital in Houston did just that, a vaccine mandate for employees. Over 150 healthcare workers who refused were fired or resigned. Eve Klein has been practicing labor and employment law for over 30 years. She tells me there are only 3 groups of people that cannot be fired from their job for refusing the vaccine. Someone with a disability, for example.
Somebody who is immunocompromised may not be able to get vaccinated, or if they get vaccinated, they may not have the antibodies that are necessary to keep them likely to be COVID-free. Let's say somebody on chemotherapy. So that might be somebody who either can't be vaccinated or is vaccinated but still needs precautions. They might be out of the workplace.
The others protected from firing for not getting vaccinated are pregnant women and anybody whose religious belief prevents vaccines. For now, U.S. companies are still treading carefully. Delta Airlines is requiring new hires get vaccinated, but not explicitly demanding it of current employees. McDonald's is offering 4 hours of paid time off for employees to get the jab, while new hires at Amazon are given a $100 bonus on their first day after showing proof of vaccination. Complicating matters further, the Delta variant. The highly infectious strain now accounts for a quarter of all new COVID cases in the U.S. and has seen some countries halt or even reverse their reopening plans. There is no one-size-fits-all approach. Of course, labor laws differ country by country. But with the majority of U.S. companies planning to call back employees to the office in the coming weeks, the U.S. could be a test case on what works and perhaps what doesn't. Gabriel Zondo, Al Jazeera, New York.
Vaccine drives are gathering pace in countries around the world. This is 1.5 million doses of the Moderna vaccine flown into El Salvador as a donation from the United States. El Salvador has administered just under 3 million doses, enough to fully inoculate 22% of its population.
We have a special commitment to the entire region, and we are not going to stop until all countries have the vaccines they require to protect all their citizens.
In Ivory Coast, health workers are visiting markets to get as many people vaccinated as possible. They'll visit 130 in the capital Abidjan in the next 2 weeks. In some countries in Africa, COVID-19 case numbers are doubling every 3 weeks.
I have just received my COVID vaccine. I'm really relieved because I have been waiting to do it for a long time.
In Russia, the government has opened its largest vaccination centre in Moscow. Russia reported a record high 737 coronavirus deaths on Tuesday.
The last week showed a slight decrease in the incidence of COVID in Moscow, but nevertheless, the level of hospitalisation and morbidity itself is at a very high level. But how will the Delta or other mutations behave?
It's a question health authorities are asking around the world. Israel's health ministry released data that the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine is just 64% effective against infections by the Delta variant. It had been 94% effective against previous strains of the virus. Although, they reported it is still more than 90% effective at keeping people out of a hospital.
There's no doubt that there is a level of escape with the Delta variant. That means that there is a level of reduction in protective immunity with this particular variant, even with vaccines. The good news is that with 2 doses of vaccine, there is still a very high level of protection for individuals against severe disease like hospitalizations and deaths.
The Delta variant is accelerating the spread of outbreaks in places that had previously escaped the pandemic. Fiji went an entire year without recording any community coronavirus cases until the new strain arrived in April. On Tuesday, it reported a record 636 cases and 6 deaths.
It does hurt you in some way, and it does also let you know that, we're far from over.
The ICU at the main hospital in the capital, Suva, is full, so is the city's morgue. 10% of Fijians are fully vaccinated. Officials are hoping to increase that number to stop the spread. Charlotte Ballas, Al Jazeera.
Interpol has issued an arrest warrant for this man, Karim Keita, the eldest son of former Malian President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita, who was overthrown in 2020 in a military coup. The red notice was issued at the request of Malian authorities on Monday, who have been investigating Keita in a case concerning the disappearance of a journalist in 2016. Keita fled to neighboring Ivory Coast after the military coup that overthrew his father in August 2020. He's denied any involvement in the disappearance of the reporter. Elected as a member of parliament in 2013, the year his father came to power, Keita quit as the head of the National Assembly's Powerful Defense Committee as protests against his father's rule gained momentum. He's been accused of using his position in parliament to advance his father's interests. Ibrahim Boubacar Keita remains in Bamako almost a year after his overthrow. The head of Mali's junta, Kanouassimi Goïta, has vowed to organize elections next February and return the country to civilian rule.
We now look at sports news. Chipolopolo midfielder MWEPU has signed a 4-year deal with English Premier League side Brighton Albion. MWEPU, 23, becomes coach Graham Porter's first signing ahead of 2021-2022 Premier League campaign, which will be Albion's 5th consecutive year in the top flight. Porter expressed confidence that the former Red Bull Salzburg midfielder will add competition to the club's existing options in the midfield department going into new season. Porter has described MWEPU as primarily a central midfielder, also capable of playing in numerous positions, open-minded, adaptable and very keen to learn and develop. MWEPU made 81 league appearances over his 4 years at Red Bull Arena, scoring 11 goals and assisting 9 times. Well, surely this makes the soccer fans happy, and we're hoping to see more memes on social media. That's where we wrap it up for our news this evening. The headlines once again. KK's family at loggerheads with government over burial site. 2 poverty-stricken families receive help as they call for more from well wishers. 3rd Liberation Movement presidential candidate to make corruption a non-bailable offense post-August 12th pause. In international news, no jab, no job policy may be legal for U.S. employees. And in sports news, MWEPU joins ALBION. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day. It is coming from Psalms 119, verse 11 to 12, and it reads, I have treasured your word in my heart so that I may not sin against you. Lord, you may be praised. Teach me your statutes. Well, that's all we had for you on the news desk this evening. Thank you so much for choosing us. Remember to observe the COVID-19 health guidelines and stop the spread of the COVID-19 virus.